This is Hank.
I didn't take the same cue as Andrew did.
I know, and you were there for it. I knew you were going to throw that back in my face. Do you want me to introduce you?
No.
And this is...
Talia!
We'll edit that together so it sounds better later on. It'll sound smooth and flawless.
Just, put a longer pause in between.
I'm going to cut it so you introduce yourself at the end.
Did something wrong? What's going on?
And this is... Oh, what did we say before? Bob and Bud's Burger Buddies? Bob and Bud's Babies Burgers Buddies? Anyways, I just want to keep saying words with the letter B in them.
Burgers
hey, the first episode of Bob's Burgers.
Burgers with Bob and Bud's Bedtime Burger Buddies.
Only listen to this if you're going to bed. If you're not going to bed, please do not listen to this.
If you're not going to bed, you fucking go to bed after this.
You're going to want to after this.
No, that means it's going to be boring.
So do you know the thing about, I assume anything I know you're going to know anyways, but that the original pitch for Bob's Burgers was that they were cannibals?
I did not know that.
Before it went to pilot, when it was initially, I think at one point when they were shopping out to Adult Swim and other places, and I think one of the things that was initially on the paperwork was that the joke would be that they're cannibals and that their restaurant is serving human flesh.
I can see that making sense for most of the people that are involved in that.
But I can also see at some point somebody was like, or we could just make them normal.
Or just do a regular restaurant.
Yeah, that might work.
I guess.
Which I'm glad.
Were they going to be cannibals but still a restaurant?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay.
Initially, none of them were related.
Just a bunch of cannibals that were like, yeah, let's start a restaurant together. We'll be a family. Yeah, we'll pretend.
I still think, you give that voice cast just about anything, and it doesn't really matter. They're just all so entertaining.
I like that they follow each other in the different things that they do. Like Archer.
That they've all shown up in
Archer. Yeah, they just hang out and stuff.
And then they did the crossover episode too, which I could watch more of.
And if you go back, if you go the before time to Lucy, Daughter of the Devil, there's a bunch of Bob's people in it too. Which they reference on Archer, and Archer says that it's a really underrated show. And
one of my favorite Archer jokes.
I know, I remember that happening, and I was watching it with Chris, and I was just like, oh my god! And he's never seen it, he didn't get it, but I was just like,
people he made that reference for. There's a point on...
It's a good series?
It's a good series,
It's weird.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
There's a bit on Family Guy when he's on Family Guy.
Yes.
And he
stand-up
comedy. He's like, now I'm Bob for Bob's Burgers. Now I'm Archer.
Yeah, I was called into the room specifically to see that part.
It's really funny.
Actually, maybe I wasn't called in the room. Maybe it was like, I watched this yesterday. Here, let me try to find it on the internet. You have to see this, 30 seconds of this episode.
Did you ever watch John Benjamin Has a Van?
No. I remember it being on, and I remember thinking, who the fuck's John Benjamin? I don't know who that is. And then finding out later that he does voices and finding out his name and thinking, wasn't there a show before that was he had a van or something?
I feel like technically you almost can't even say that John Benjamin does voices.
No.
John Benjamin just shows up.
He does. Yeah. I was going to say he does voices for characters, but it's his voice.
But I do find, if I listen to Archer and Bob's Burgers close...
It's not...
I can tell they're different, they emote differently.
Yeah, exactly. It's the mindset of Archer is this cocky spy, and Bob is this tired dad chef that's
and
just
And Bob genuinely... I don't know, one of my favorite things about Bob's Burgers is that they didn't go the direction of something like a Family Guy, and that the family all loves each other. And that they genuinely enjoy spending time around each other, and you sort of get that because the actors enjoy, and that's... I don't know, you can hear it. Yeah, well, in Family Guy, they don't like each other.
No.
They don't it's built around adversity, whereas...
Yeah. I thought you meant the other way around.
No.
They don't like each other in Bob's and they do like each other in Family Guy?
No.
That doesn't make any sense.
You're right, that doesn't make any sense.
That's
Luckily,
why I was like,
that's
what?
not
What are you
what
talking
I said.
about? No, I'm glad that we clarified that, though. That's nice.
But yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah, I like, it is a good show. I have many things to say on it, just in general. That's why I wasn't sure about like, yeah, let's do the first episode. It's just like, I can't be like, yeah, and keep watching because, and I was listening to the Legion thing thinking like, what do we, like, I'm not going to be like, oh, what's going to happen in the second episode of the very first season? Like, I know what happens. I've seen them all 1,000 billion times. It's one of those series I'll just put on. Just keep watching it. Forever.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
it never gets old.
You barely even, like, it's also one of those shows that works really well as an audio thing. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so good to have on in the background, and you can just,
Because it's just them, except for Linda, who's the only one that does a voice.
Have you ever seen that actor do that?
I don't think I've watched him do it.
That voice is his mom, and he does a bit where he dresses up as his mom, and like it's not Linda, it's a pre-existing bit that he had. It was like a character that he used to do that I think they just sort of co-opted into Linda, basically. Mm-hmm. But it's watching him do it live is fucking hilarious. Like, because he has so much physical comedy. But I mean, Linda is fucking hilarious. Like, easily has to be one of the most funny mom characters ever on TV.
I always forget that it's a man because of the things she says sometimes that are just so mom and just so, like, not like his voice is feminine, but just the things he says is like, yeah, exactly. That's exactly. Not that I'm a middle-aged mother.
No, it's I don't have a mom like that either, and at the same time, like it rings so true to hear it. Mm-hmm. And again, of just like the big thing that I love that they did with Linda is again, unlike almost any fucking mom on TV, Linda is fun. She's way more fun than Bob. Like, she's way more outgoing and flawed. And, like, again, in comparison to, like, I love Marge, but Marge is the foil 9 times out of 10. Or, like, if Marge gets an episode, she has an emotional breakdown.
Marge and Homer are the opposite of Linda and Bob. Bob is the Marge, and, like, so that's why Marge isn't, like, Linda, because Marge is the like, oh, like, I have to deal with this again. Another day of this.
Routinely drunk and doing something ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Though in watching... One of the things that struck me in watching the pilot over again, or I guess not the pilot, but the first episode, is...
pilot is different.
All the voices, unlike on something like The Simpsons or even other shows, like Bob's Burgers has been on for 7 years, it's there from episode 1. Like, they are... Those characters sound exactly like what they sound. The biggest thing that stuck out to me was Gene's keyboard. Yeah. Because, like, they use a couple of effects where they use it heavily in the first couple of episodes.
He's just experimenting at the beginning, which is great, because that's what Gene is. Like, and even, like, Louise, I think, is that the one where she's, like, faking a seizure or something, and she's, like, spilling her cereal everywhere, and she's, like, put a wallet in my mouth.
That might be in a later episode. I know this one...
It might be, like, episode 2 or 3, because it was one of the moments where, like, it's right at the beginning of the series, but it's, like, so Louise, where she's just making a huge mess, and she's just like, I don't care, like, I'm just gonna do this and make some stupid excuse that is obviously a lie. Like,
Louise is so awful.
I love her.
I love that anytime I see them do live reads, Kristen Schaal is always wearing the bunny hat.
Yeah, that's great. I just love her and... like, Bob's relationship. I think it's really, like, I don't know, like, I love my dad, and I don't tell my dad that he's the greatest, but, like, that's Bob and Louise. Like, Louise plans on taking over the restaurant and, like, doing all this stuff, and, like, she is, like, not into Bob. Like, they hang out, and especially at the beginning of, like, I guess not at the beginning, throughout the whole thing, she likes hanging out with them. They have their special one-on-one time that Tina and Bob have, but it doesn't go as well when they hang out. Like, when they went to the restaurant supply store and, like, had that little accident.
When Tina drives. Unlike when...
McCormick came.
When Bob and Louise have the burn unit.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think they have a whole bunch of, like... and then they refer to them at school as being the lunch buddies as well. Just like, all of our names are really
The Lunch
lame.
Bunch and the Menstruation Nation. Those ones are a little bit worse.
The other, like, Tina's itchy crotch. I feel like that's one of those of like, oh, they take Tina a little further in that first episode, and then they scale it back of like, I don't think I ever hear Tina talk about her crotch ever again, and I'm really glad for that. Of
she
like,
talks about butts. I think she just gets focused on other people's butts. Because I think they probably wanted to make her more of like, not a real life weirdo. Like, because that's real life weirdo stuff. It's just like, ugh, why are you talking? Your whole family's there. Like, don't tell them that your crotch is itchy. Like,
it's really disturbing. Like, it's way more, And she's, I don't know. You don't want young people talking about their crotches. It's just weird. That's not good family television.
I get that it's puberty
really
and like it's a thing that.
Oh, but she's scratching at it. She's scratching at a rash as she's working the grill. Yeah,
they put a lot of, like, kind of disturbing subject matter in that first episode.
Well, I'm sure they had to, like, hey, they're not eating people anymore.
Yeah,
they're scaled it way back.
Yeah, that's the most toned down it could have been. Such a good show.
It was a good show.
I haven't caught up with the newer ones, and I feel so bad.
I'm caught up on the newer ones.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah?
They sing so fucking much. It's such a musical show.
Yeah, they've been singing a lot more in the last couple seasons, which some of them are fine and endearing. And some of them are like, you just want to sing. And I know you all just want to sing, and you're torturing me for it. And, like, I have musicals that I like. I don't like musicals, but there are musicals out there that I like, which I think is better than hating them all. So, like, I'm not against musical shows, but I just don't want it there.
I
don't like it.
I don't like the musicals as much as I like the in-show, like, when they just sing a little song. Like, I feel like they've got a bunch of, like, is it the Haircut song, or... fuck, I can't remember this. It's something about... Oh, this is terrible.
Where Goes the Hair? Is it that one?
There might be Where Goes the Hair.
Here Goes the Hair, There Goes the Hair, Where's Harry Truman?
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the thing. He's dead in the ground. Yeah, that's great.
That's exactly the one. And yeah, no, I could listen to that.
But that's not the montage of Linda on one side, Bob on the other, both singing their parts and harmonizing. Where it's like, that can't happen in real life.
I don't need that.
The Harry Truman... The just completely thrown in there Harry Truman reference, like, is like, I guess, Linda, sure. I guess you remember who that is, so sure, sing about him.
I don't think Linda does.
I don't know when he's from.
It's just a reference. I don't know.
60s?
I don't know who Harry Truman is.
He...
Now, as we get deeper into this... President?
I'm 90% certain he was once a president of America.
I am,
the United
too.
States of America.
Well,
he's in a song that I like. The song is called Harry Truman.
This is being Hank and Talia's History of North America show, where we guess at people who we think might have been president at some point.
I think that we could be right.
Today we covered Harry Truman. Is he a president or not? We're not sure.
Next we'll cover LBJ. Who was that?
Maybe a prime minister.
Who knows?
I'm again not sure. When you say LBJ, I see a guy holding a dog by its ears.
I think of the musical Hair, because they have a song called LBJ.
I'm starting to see how all this is going to go. Well, this has definitely been Hank and Talia, and we've been talking about Bob's Burgers. You want to say goodbye to the nice people?
Goodbye.
I thought for sure you were going to say goodbye to the nice people.
I was gonna, but then it was like... No, that's
You're just not going to play along with me. I'm going to keep throwing stuff out to you, and you're going to let it.
I'm just going to
high five. No.
Let it fall to the ground.